Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story. Emma Harper was having the worst day of her life. As the CEO of Apex Publishing, she was always in control until she received news that could destroy her career. Her work visa had been denied. In just 30 days, she would have to leave the United States. Liam Carter, her personal assistant for the past 2 years, walked into the room just as Emma slammed the phone down. He immediately sensed something was wrong. "Emma, are you okay?" She looked up, took a deep breath, and said the only thing that made sense in her mind at that moment. "I'm getting married." Liam blinked a few times, confused. "Oh, well, congratulations. I hope I get an invite. Who's the groom?" Liam choked on his coffee. "What?" Emma crossed her arms, impatient. "You're an American citizen, right?" "Yes, but—" "And you're single?" "Emma, where are you going with this?" She snapped her fingers as if she had just solved a complex puzzle. "Perfect. We're getting married." A heavy silence filled the room. Liam tilted his head, blinking. "Sorry, I think my brain just froze. Can you say that again?" Emma folded her arms. "You marrying me?" He let out a nervous laugh, the kind you make when you hear a terrible joke. "Oh, that's a good one. Seriously, Emma, that was great. Now tell me your real plan." Emma didn't smile. Liam stopped laughing. "Oh my God. You're serious?" "Yes." "Liam, did you hit your head? Did you have an accident? Should I call a doctor or a priest? Maybe an exorcist?" She rolled her eyes. "Look, it's simple. We get married, I get my green card, and after a while, we get divorced. You don't have to do anything except sign some papers and pretend to love me in a few interviews." Liam's eyes widened in shock. "This isn't a plan, this is a crime. A fraud." "Emma, you want me to commit a federal crime?" "Oh, don't be so dramatic." "Dramatic? Emma, this could land us in jail." "No one's going to jail, Liam. Immigration approves marriages all the time, the real ones." She sighed, impatient. "Liam, think about it. Do you want a promotion? I can guarantee you move up in the company." He laughed sarcastically. "If that's the price for a promotion, I'd rather stay your tortured assistant." Emma crossed her arms. "You don't want to be an assistant forever, do you? You know what I want? To stay as far away from you as possible." She raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. Because you seem pretty close to me right now." Liam closed his eyes, trying to stay calm. "No, I'm not marrying you, Emma. Not a chance. Let's talk, Emma. I can barely stand working in the same building as you. Imagine being your husband." He turned and walked out of the room, but Emma followed him. "Liam, let's negotiate." "No, I'll pay for all your meals for a year." "No, I'll give you a month off." "Absolutely not. You can choose the office playlist." Liam stopped. "Any music?" "Yes." He thought for a moment. "Still no." Emma groaned. "Liam, for heaven's sake, marriage is temporary. What's a few months of pretending to love me?" Liam walked faster, practically running away. Emma stood in the hallway, arms crossed, mumbling, "Fine, I'll wear him down." The next day, Liam was at his desk, drinking coffee and bracing himself for another chaotic day. When Emma suddenly appeared, this time no yelling, no demands, no arrogance. She looked different. "Liam, I need your help." He looked up, suspicious. "You're asking me for something without yelling? Is this a prank?" "I'm being serious." Liam raised an eyebrow. "My God, you just said serious. The world must be ending. I should check the news." Emma sighed. He rubbed his face, exhausted. Against all his instincts screaming at him to say no again, he saw sincerity in her eyes and felt sorry for her. Liam had no idea what he was getting himself into, but something inside him couldn't just walk away. He let out a long sigh. "This is going to be a disaster." Emma smiled. "Probably. But it'll be a well-planned disaster." Liam was starting to question every life choice he had ever made. The morning after his impulsive agreement, he found himself standing in front of Emma's desk, holding a folder, while she dictated instructions like nothing unusual had happened. "I need you to send this presentation to the legal department and schedule a meeting with the board for next Monday," she said without even looking up from her computer. Liam crossed his arms. "And you need to sign this wedding paperwork, small detail." Emma finally lifted her head, looking at him as if he were interrupting her workflow. "Oh, that? I'll take care of it by the end of the day." Liam let out a humorless laugh. I really got myself into this, didn't I? Yes. But look on the bright side. You're now part of a brilliant plan. He rolled his eyes and dropped into the chair across from her desk. What's the next step in this madness? Before Emma could answer, the phone rang. She answered and put it on speaker. Emma Harper. This is Agent Foster from the Immigration Department. I need to schedule a meeting to discuss your case. Emma stiffened in her chair, but her voice remained completely calm. Of course, Agent Foster. How can we help you? Given the sudden nature of your marriage, we'll need to ask some questions to confirm that it's a legitimate relationship. Liam looked at Emma, now feeling truly uncomfortable. Of course, no problem, she replied. To start, I'd like to see you both in a more intimate setting. It's important for the evaluation. Liam raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? A weekend together with family, it's the best way to observe the couple's dynamic and confirm the authenticity of the relationship. Emma cleared her throat. Is that really necessary? Yes. Otherwise it could be seen as a fraudulent marriage, which would have serious consequences. There was a silence. Emma shot Liam a panicked look while he tried not to laugh at how absurd this was. Where exactly would you like us to stay? She asked. I'd suggest Mr. Carter's family home, the agent said indifferently. Emma's world froze. She turned to Liam, who had a small, amused smile on his face. All right then. It's settled. We're traveling this weekend, Liam replied, clearly enjoying the situation. Emma forced a smile. Can't wait. As soon as the agent hung up, she turned to Liam. Your family's house? Are you kidding me? He spread his arms. I just agreed to your plan. Didn't you say you wanted a convincing marriage? Well, here you go. My family is going to love you. Emma felt a knot in her stomach. Okay, fine. What are they like? Liam smirked. Oh, my grandmother is a sweetheart. My parents are great. My brother is finishing college. It's a traditional family. Emma relaxed a little. That sounds manageable. Liam's smirk widened. There's just one tiny detail I forgot to mention. She narrowed her eyes. What? They think I'm never getting married. Emma blinked. What do you mean? My family sees me as the rebel, the guy who never settles down. They're going to find this strange, to say the least. She ran a hand over her face. Fantastic. On Friday, there they were at the airport. Emma carried a small rolling suitcase while Liam looked completely at ease, holding just a backpack. You're not bringing a suitcase? I have clothes at my parents' house. She huffed and gripped her suitcase tighter. Men. After a relatively smooth flight except for Emma's curious glances at Liam, laughing at something on his phone, they landed in the small town where he had grown up. It was during the taxi ride that Emma started to notice something odd through the window. She spotted several businesses, a furniture store called Carter & Sons, a hotel named Carter Inn, and even a charming cafe with a sign that read, Founded by the Carter family. Emma narrowed her eyes. Liam, do you happen to have any famous relatives? He smiled, looking out the window. Kind of. Emma felt a prickle of suspicion. Kind of isn't a very clear answer. Liam leaned back in his seat. Relax. You'll find out soon enough. Emma didn't like that answer. When they finally arrived at his family's home, Emma completely lost her ability to speak. It was a mansion. Not just a big house. A mansion. The entrance had massive gates. The garden was perfectly trimmed. And the building itself was elegant, with huge windows and spacious balconies. Emma blinked several times. Liam? Yeah? She turned to him slowly. Are you rich? He smiled and shrugged. Let's just say my family is successful. Emma felt the ground disappear beneath her. You've been pretending to be a regular assistant this whole time while this was waiting for you? It's not pretending. I really prefer my independence. Emma opened and closed her mouth a few times, completely stunned. Before she could respond, the mansion's front door opened. An elderly woman with perfectly styled silver hair and a sharp gaze appeared at the door, smiling warmly. Liam, my dear. Liam smiled. Hi, Grandma. The woman opened her arms, and Liam walked up to her, embracing her fondly. Emma stood still processing everything. Liam's grandmother looked her up and down. So, this is the woman who managed to capture my grandson's attention. Emma forced a smile, trying to ignore the nervousness that took her by surprise. Nice to meet you. I'm Emma. The older woman linked her arm with Emma's and pulled her inside. Let's see if you're everything they say you are. Emma swallowed hard. She thought the hardest part of this trip would be pretending to be in love with Liam. Now, the biggest challenge was surviving his family. Emma wasn't sure what made her more nervous, The fact that she was about to spend an entire weekend surrounded by strangers, or the fact that those strangers were the family of a man who, just hours ago, she thought was just an ordinary assistant. As they crossed the entrance of the mansion, she tried to keep her composure, but her mind was screaming, "Wait, he's a millionaire." Liam's grandmother, still holding onto her arm, pulled her forward with determination. "Come there. I want to get to know you better." Emma glanced discreetly at Liam, hoping for some kind of explanation, but he just shrugged and smiled. Great, now she was stuck in this charade with a man who was secretly a wealthy heir and hadn't bothered to mention it before. The inside of the house was even more impressive than the outside. High ceilings, crystal chandeliers, elegant furniture, everything looked like it came straight out of a movie about billionaires. In the middle of the living room, a well-dressed couple watched them with interest. "Liam," the woman called out warmly. "Mom," he replied, walking over to hug her. Emma stood there, feeling completely out of place. She was still trying to wrap her head around the fact that Liam wasn't just an assistant with an ordinary last name, he was a millionaire in disguise. Liam's father shook his son's hand with a proud expression before turning his attention to Emma. "So, you're Emma?" he said, studying her curiously. Emma tried to smile. "Yes, that's me." Liam's mother stepped forward, gently holding Emma's hands. "Welcome to the family, dear." Emma barely had time to react before being pulled into another hug. Liam's grandmother smiled, satisfied. "So, you two tell us everything. How did you meet? How was the proposal?" Emma's stomach dropped. She hadn't rehearsed any of this. She looked at Liam, who, to her surprise, seemed amused by the whole situation. "Well, it all happened kind of unexpectedly," he began. Emma just nodded, hoping he would do all the talking. "We were at work, and one day I looked at her and realized I couldn't live without this woman." Emma fought the urge to roll her eyes. Liam's grandmother crossed her arms. "That's sweet, but that doesn't explain the proposal." Emma held her breath. Liam smiled. "Oh, it was really special. I planned a candlelit dinner, brought flowers, and when I got down on one knee to propose, she cried." Emma's eyes widened. "I cried?" Liam looked at her, his smile unwavering. "Out of emotion, of course. It was beautiful." Emma felt a wave of irritation. "Oh, it was so beautiful that I barely remember it." Liam's grandmother smiled, but her eyes were sharp. "Oh, so that's how it happened. Interesting." Emma didn't like that tone. "Is there a problem?" "No, dear. I just like to see how well couples really know each other." Emma had a feeling this was going to be a very long weekend. After a few more questions and a quick introduction to the rest of the family, Liam's grandmother finally announced, "Well, you two must be tired from the trip. I had the guest room prepared for you both." Emma felt relieved for a brief moment until the woman added, "But on second thought, you're a couple, aren't you? You should share a room." Her relief disappeared instantly. Emma looked at Liam, hoping he would say something. He just smiled. Of course, he was enjoying this. "Oh, Grandma, we don't want to be any trouble." The older woman raised an eyebrow. "Nonsense. Couples sleep together, don't they?" Emma swallowed hard. "Yes, of course." His grandmother smiled. "Great. Your room is at the end of the hall." Emma wasn't sure if she should panic now or save the panic for later. Liam grabbed their bags and started up the stairs. Emma followed, muttering, "This is getting out of control." "Relax. You knew this was going to be a challenge." Emma huffed. "I knew it was going to be a challenge, Liam. I didn't know your grandmother was going to interrogate us and put us in the same room." He grinned. "Welcome to the family." As soon as they stepped into the bedroom, Emma looked around, taking in the cozy decor and the single bed in the center of the room. "Great. Perfect. There's only one bed." Liam tossed his backpack onto an armchair. "We can share." Emma crossed her arms. "You're sleeping on the floor." He raised an eyebrow. "I'm a gentleman, Emma, but I'm also a businessman. Let's negotiate." She stared at him. "Not a chance." He smiled. "So, I sleep in the bed, and you take the floor?" Emma huffed. "Fine. We'll share, but stay on your side, and don't cross the imaginary line." He made a got it gesture. "I promise I'll stay in my corner." Emma took a deep breath. Great. That night, she couldn't sleep well. Every time she moved, she could feel Liam on the other side of the bed, breathing peacefully. And then an annoying thought crossed her mind. Why does he seem so comfortable with all this? Watching him sleep so soundly, she realized she might be underestimating Liam. What if he was treating this like a game? The next morning, during breakfast, Liam's grandmother announced they were hosting a special dinner that evening. "It's going to be wonderful, and all our friends will be there to meet you both." Emma smiled. But inside she felt a chill. She could handle the family. But an entire social event, and worse, if Liam's grandmother was already suspicious, this would only be another test for them. Emma glanced at Liam, who was smiling casually, completely at ease. She was starting to think he was actually enjoying all of this, and that only made things even more dangerous. Emma woke up with a start at the sound of knocking on the door. The room was still dark, and for a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then reality hit her like a shock. She was at Liam's family home, pretending to be his fiancée. And worst of all, she had slept in the same bed as him. Emma quickly turned to the other side and saw Liam sleeping peacefully, one arm hanging off the bed, completely unaware of the chaos she was feeling inside. The knocking grew louder. "Liam, Emma, time to get up." It was Liam's grandmother's voice. Emma felt panic rising. "Liam," she whispered, poking his arm. He groaned and turned over. "Liam." He slowly opened his eyes, blinking against the early morning light. "What? Your grandmother, she's at the door." Liam sat up lazily, still half asleep. And what if she comes in and finds us like this?" He gave a slow, sleepy smile. "That would only prove we're a deeply in love couple." Emma wanted to punch him. "You don't take anything seriously, do you?" Before Liam could respond, his grandmother opened the door without hesitation. "Good morning, lovebirds." Emma froze. Liam smiled and pulled Emma close, wrapping an arm around her. "Good morning, Grandma." Emma completely froze. The older woman looked at them with a playful sparkle in her eyes. "I hope you both slept well." Emma forced a smile. "Oh, perfectly." His grandmother clapped her hands together. "Wonderful, because we have a busy day ahead. Your welcome dinner is tonight. I want everyone to get to know the woman who won my grandson's heart." Emma felt a drop of sweat run down her neck. "Oh, of course." The older woman smiled. "I'll let you two get ready. Come down for breakfast when you're done." As soon as the door closed, Emma pulled away from Liam and glared at him. "Never do that again." Liam grinned. "Do what? Make our lie more convincing?" She huffed and got out of bed. "This is getting dangerous." Liam stretched. "Relax, Emma. It's just a dinner, with your entire family, and your grandmother is clearly waiting for us to slip up." He shrugged. "Then we won't slip up." She huffed again. "Great, because pretending to be your fiancé wasn't hard enough. Now I have to pretend to be madly in love with you." "You can do it," he said, winking. Emma wasn't so sure. After breakfast, Liam's grandmother decided she would spend the day with Emma. "I want to get to know the future Mrs. Carter better," she said with a sweet smile. But her eyes said something else. Emma knew immediately that she was being tested. The first test was in the garden. His grandmother handed Emma a pair of gardening gloves and pointed to a row of flowers. "Liam has always loved gardens. I imagine you two share that interest." Emma looked at the plants as if they were a complicated puzzle. "Oh, of course. I love gardens." The older woman smiled. "Wonderful. Then help me replant these flowers." Emma swallowed hard. She had never touched soil in her life. After a few tragic attempts at planting something without killing it in the process, Liam's grandmother finally took pity on her. "You really love my grandson, don't you?" Emma paused. It was a simple question, but loaded with meaning. She tried not to hesitate. "Yes, very much." The older woman tilted her head. "And why, exactly?" Emma felt her heart race. Why did she like Liam? She glanced at the man in question, who was standing further away, talking to his father. He was laughing at something, his eyes shining, relaxed, completely different from the Liam she knew at the office. Emma realized she didn't really know him at all. She turned back to his grandmother. "He's good for me." It was the only thing she could say. The older woman gave a small smile. "I hope that's true." A chill ran down Emma's spine. She knew she hadn't convinced her yet. Nightfall came faster than she expected. Wearing an elegant, yet understated dress, Emma walked down the stairs alongside Liam. The room was filled with the Carter family's friends and relatives. All eager to meet her, she tried to smile and act natural. But then Liam's ex-girlfriend appeared. Emma knew instantly who she was. A tall, flawless blonde, in a tight red dress with a calculated and smug expression. She approached, smiling at Liam. "It's been a while, Liam." He smiled politely. Rachel gave Emma a once-over. "So, you're the famous fiancé." Emma smiled, but it was forced. "That's right." Rachel tilted her head. "Funny. Liam never mentioned you before." Emma felt a warning chill. She glanced at Liam, who kept his expression neutral. "I like to keep my personal life private," he replied. Rachel smiled as if she didn't believe a word. "How sweet. But tell me, Emma, how was the proposal?" Emma held her breath. She'd been asked this question before, and now she had to repeat the fake story. She forced a smile. It was magical. Rachel crossed her arms. Details, please. Emma felt Liam step closer, his hand resting on her waist. We've talked about this so many times, Rachel. Let's move on to something else, he said, steering the conversation away. Rachel narrowed her eyes. Sure. Let's talk about how you gave up on true love to marry someone none of us have ever seen before. Emma's stomach dropped. This woman wanted a fight. She grabbed her wine glass and took a big sip. Rachel turned to Liam. Tell me, Liam, are you really in love? For a moment, there was silence. Emma felt her heart pound in her chest, but then Liam did something unexpected. He pulled Emma closer, cupped her face, and kissed her. It wasn't forced. It wasn't brief. It was intense. Emma completely forgot where they were. When he pulled away, Rachel looked stunned. Does that answer your question? Liam asked. Emma no longer knew what was real and what was a lie. And in that moment, she was afraid to find out. Emma could still feel the tingling on her lips. The room was full of people, background music filled the air, and conversations flowed around her, but her mind was stuck on what had just happened. The kiss, not a quick peck, not something mechanical, but a deep kiss full of intent. Liam had held her face, as if making sure she wouldn't pull away, as if he knew exactly what he was doing. And worse, she had kissed him back. Emma tried to push the thought away, but every time her eyes drifted to Liam, the memory came rushing back. I need some air, she murmured to no one in particular, and slipped out onto the balcony. The cool night breeze hit her face, but it wasn't enough to clear the growing confusion inside her. Running away again? Liam's familiar voice sounded behind her. Emma closed her eyes for a moment before turning around. I just need a minute without stupid questions. He leaned against the railing, crossing his arms. Then I'll just stay here, watching you panic. She huffed. I am not panicking. Liam raised an eyebrow. You left the party. That seems like panicking to me. Emma took a deep breath. Liam, what was that kiss? He smiled, and it only irritated her more. Convincing, wasn't it? Emma felt warmth rise up her neck. Convincing? You kissed me like it was. She stopped, unsure how to finish the sentence without giving herself away. Liam didn't blink. Like it was what? Emma felt a lump in her throat. Like it was real for a second. Liam didn't answer. The playful smile he always wore disappeared, and his gaze darkened slightly. What if it was? Emma's heart skipped a beat. Liam. Relax, Emma, he said, letting out a short laugh. I just wanted to shut Rachel up, and let's be honest, it was a brilliant move. Emma crossed her arms, trying to ignore the mix of relief and disappointment she felt. I should have punched you. You still can, he teased, but I think that would only make people believe you love me even more. Emma huffed. Before she could snap back, Liam's grandmother appeared on the porch, her gaze sharp and assessing. My dears, you should come inside. I don't want anyone getting suspicious. Emma glanced at Liam before forcing a smile. We're coming. The older woman hesitated, then looked at Liam. I want you to show Emma the estate tomorrow. I want her to understand our world better. Liam raised an eyebrow. Are you sure, Grandma? She smiled. But there was something sharp behind that smile. I am. After all, she'll be a Carter soon. A chill ran down Emma's spine. It would be a pleasure. Liam sighed, clearly amused by the whole situation. Great. A romantic tour of our family legacy. I can't wait. Emma had a bad feeling about this. The next morning, after yet another breakfast filled with the Carter family's judgmental stares, Liam took her to see the town. Emma pretended to be interested as they walked past a series of businesses owned by his family: hotels, restaurants, a towering corporate center. She still couldn't believe she had spent 3 years working with Liam and never knew any of this. Did you hide this on purpose? She asked as they walked down the main street. Liam slid his hands into his pockets. I didn't hide it. You just never asked. Emma rolled her eyes. Oh right, I should have guessed. My assistant was actually a millionaire. He smiled. Most people treat me differently when they find out, and I don't. Liam stopped walking and looked her straight in the eye. You treat me worse. Emma let out a short laugh. Because you deserve it. Liam smirked. See, that's what I like about you. Emma fell silent because, as ridiculous as it sounded, she actually liked hearing that. They kept walking until they reached a large lake surrounded by trees, with a wooden pier stretching over the crystal-clear water. Liam leaned against one of the pier posts and looked at her. There. Now you know everything about my family. Emma crossed her arms. No, I just know you're all very rich. I don't know anything about you. He raised an eyebrow. What do you want to know? Emma studied him, realizing this was the first time she had the chance to get to know Liam beyond their usual teasing. Why do you work at a company where I'm your boss when you could just live as a millionaire? Liam was quiet for a moment, then glanced out at the lake. Because I wanted to build something on my own without my family's name, without their influence. Just me. Emma hadn't expected that answer. She watched him for a moment, taking in the honesty in his voice. That's admirable. He laughed. Mark. This day, Emma Harper just complimented me. Emma rolled her eyes. Forget I said anything. They stood there for a few more minutes until Liam looked at her, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Can you swim? Emma frowned. Yes, but I'm not dressed for it. Liam took a step back. Well, that makes this even better. Before Emma could react, he grabbed her and tossed Ollie. Her into the lake. She screamed as she hit the freezing water. When she surfaced, coughing and gasping for air, Liam was doubled over laughing. You're going to regret that, she yelled. He just grinned. I'm counting on it. Emma swam to the edge and climbed out, dripping wet, her hair plastered to her face. That was a mistake, Carter. Liam laughed even harder. You never have fun. Someone had to do something about it. Emma felt something spark inside her. She grabbed a handful of mud and hurled it at him, splattering his perfectly clean white shirt. Liam looked down at his chest, then back at her, stunned. Emma crossed her arms. Who's laughing now? Liam stared at her for a moment, then he dove into the mud too, pulling her down with him. They rolled through the grass, laughing like kids, and Emma realized that, for the first time since this whole charade started, she was having fun, and that was dangerous, because it meant Liam Carter wasn't just some lie she had to keep up. He was starting to feel real. Emma could still feel the dirt clinging to her skin as she walked into the mansion, her hair dripping, her dress stuck to her body. Liam walked beside her, just as soaked and filthy. But unlike her, he looked completely satisfied with the disaster he had caused. That was fun, wasn't it? He asked, his smile teasing. Emma huffed. If your idea of fun is throwing me into a lake and ruining my dress with mud, then sure, it was amazing. Liam laughed and held the mansion door open for her. That was a mistake. As soon as they crossed the room, they were met with a chorus of shocked gasps. Liam's parents, his grandmother, and his unbearable ex-girlfriend Rachel stood there, staring at the walking disaster the two of them had become. Oh my God, Liam, his mother exclaimed. His grandmother looked them up and down, narrowing her eyes. What happened to you two? Before Emma could come up with an excuse, Liam grinned shamelessly, just enjoying some time together. His grandmother's gaze grew even sharper. In the middle of the mud? Liam shrugged. Love has its own ways. Emma wanted to dig a hole and disappear. Rachel crossed her arms and smiled in that annoying way of hers. Well, you two look intense. Emma cleared her throat and tried to smile. That's right, a lot of love. Liam's grandmother kept her eyes on Emma for an uncomfortably long moment before simply murmuring a quiet, and stepping away. Liam's father cleared his throat. You two should go clean up. We have an important dinner tonight. A chill of nervousness ran through Emma. Another event. More questions, more suspicious looks, more chances to mess up. Great. Just perfect. Upstairs, Emma closed the bathroom door and stared at herself in the mirror. She was playing with fire. The problem wasn't pretending anymore. The problem was that, little by little, it was starting to feel real. After a long shower, she put on an elegant black dress and headed downstairs, already hearing the sound of conversation from the dining room. As she walked in, she immediately felt every pair of eyes turn toward her. The tables were beautifully set with crystal glasses and polished silverware. The atmosphere was sophisticated and traditional, exactly what you'd expect from such an influential family. Liam was already there, dressed in a flawless suit, chatting with some guests, and, of course, Rachel was right by his side like a shadow. Emma walked over, and before Rachel could say anything, took Liam's hand and smiled. Hi, sweetheart. Liam looked surprised for a second, but recovered quickly. Hey, love. Emma smiled even more and slowly kissed his cheek, making sure Rachel got a good look. Rachel narrowed her eyes. You two are just adorable, she said in a tone so fake that Emma almost laughed. Liam, on the other hand, seemed to be enjoying himself. Thanks, Rachel. Isn't it amazing when love just happens? Rachel gripped her glass so tightly it looked like she might break it. Emma felt victorious. During dinner, she sat next to Liam, keeping their hands intertwined like they were the perfect couple. Liam's grandmother never took her eyes off them. Then, out of nowhere, she smiled and lightly tapped the table, I'd like to propose a toast to our lovely couple." Emma swallowed hard. Everyone raised their glasses, and she had no choice but to do the same. But deep down, she knew this wasn't just a toast. Liam's grandmother was testing them. "Liam, dear, why don't you tell us the exact moment you knew you were in love with Emma?" Emma nearly choked on her wine. She had no answer for that. There was no way to come up with a convincing story in front of so many people. But Liam, as always, just smiled. "Oh, it was a very special moment," he said, looking at Emma with intensity. She felt her breath hitch for a second. "I knew the day she walked into my office and told me she needed me." Emma shivered because, technically, that wasn't a lie. "That was the moment I realized I would do anything for this woman." Liam's grandmother's eyes gleamed slightly. "How beautiful," she murmured. Rachel rolled her eyes and took a large sip of wine. Dinner went on, but Emma felt different because, for the first time since this all started, she had the feeling that Liam wasn't just pretending. After dinner, as everyone said their goodbyes to the guests, Liam took Emma's hand and pulled her discreetly into a more private corner of the house. "Are you okay?" he asked. Emma blinked. "Yes. Why wouldn't I be?" He smirked. "Because you looked at me like I just said something that actually meant something." Emma didn't know how to respond because the truth was it did mean something, and that scared her more than anything. "Liam, we need to be careful." He tilted his head. "Careful about what?" "About this." Liam stepped a little closer, close enough for Emma to feel his warmth. "Emma, tell me the truth. Are you still sure this is just a game?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out because, for the first time, she didn't know the answer. Liam smiled softly, as if he could read her thoughts, and gently ran his fingertips across her cheek. "When you figure out the answer, let me know." And then he walked away. Emma stood there alone, her heart pounding erratically. The lie was starting to feel real, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for that. Emma barely slept that night. She tossed and turned, trying to ignore the way Liam had looked at her before walking away, trying to erase from her mind the way he had held her face, the light touch of his fingers against her skin. She tried, but failed miserably. She had never struggled to keep her work and personal life separate. In fact, she was an expert at it. Her career had always been her focus, and her love life had always taken a back seat, almost non-existent. But now, everything seemed to be falling apart inside her. Liam was starting to mess everything up. When the sun began to peek through the window, Emma gave up on sleep and simply got up. She put on a robe and went to the bathroom, splashing water on her face before staring at her reflection in the mirror. "You just have to get through this weekend and go back to your normal life," she murmured to herself. But the idea of returning to her routine didn't bring as much relief as it should have. After getting dressed, she headed downstairs for breakfast and, just as expected, Liam was already there, sitting at the table, talking to Rachel. Great, exactly what she needed to start the day. Emma approached, keeping her posture firm. "Good morning." Liam looked at her and smiled. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" She forced a smile. "Best night ever couldn't have been better." Rachel gave a fake smile and pushed a cup toward Liam. "I was just telling Liam how surprised I was to hear he was engaged. After all, he always said he wasn't the type to settle down." Emma sat down, crossed her legs, and picked up a cup of coffee. "Well, people change." Rachel tilted her head, her eyes studying every detail. "Do they? Or do they just pretend?" Emma could hear the clear challenge in that question. Liam seemed to sense the tension and placed his hand over hers, intertwining their fingers. "I've changed, Rachel." Emma held her breath because, for the first time, those words didn't sound like a lie. The rest of breakfast passed in uncomfortable silence. Emma tried to ignore the lingering sensation of Liam's touch on her skin, and Rachel seemed determined to take every chance to throw subtle jabs. But the worst part came when Liam's grandmother sat down at the table, a suspiciously pleased smile on her face. "My dear ones, I have a surprise for you." Emma felt a shiver run down her spine. "What kind of surprise?" The older woman looked at both of them, a mischievous sparkle in her eyes. "I want to make this union official before you go back to the city." Emma's fork slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the plate. "Excuse me?" The grandmother took a sip of her tea as if she had just said the most ordinary thing in the world. "I want a wedding here. Tonight." Emma nearly choked. "A wedding?" The grandmother smiled. "Yes, just something intimate, only family. After all, you're already engaged. Why wait?" Emma felt a chill down her spine. She couldn't say no if she refused. It would look suspicious, but if she agreed, she would be taking this charade to a level she never imagined. She glanced at Liam, hoping for support. but he seemed to be enjoying the situation. "Well, dear?" his grandmother insisted. Emma forced a smile. "Oh, I'd love to. But a wedding takes planning. I'd like it to be perfect." The older woman waved a hand dismissively. "Don't worry about that, dear. I'll take care of everything." Emma wanted to disappear. She was officially trapped. Throughout the day, the house turned into complete chaos. The mansion staff began preparing the garden for the impromptu ceremony, and Liam's mother insisted on picking out a dress for Emma. With each passing minute, Emma felt like she was sinking deeper and deeper into a hole. By mid-afternoon, she found Liam in the study and crossed her arms. "Are you really not going to say anything about this?" He looked up from the newspaper he was reading and smiled. "About what?" She nearly lunged at him. "Liam, your grandmother is planning a real wedding." He shrugged. "Well, it doesn't change anything, does it?" Emma stared at him in disbelief. "How can you be so calm?" He set the newspaper aside and stood up, walking toward her. "Because, in the end, no matter what happens, you'll go back to your life, and I'll go back to mine." Emma swallowed hard because, deep down, she knew that wasn't true. And for the first time, she was afraid of what would happen if she kept pretending it was. Hours later, Emma stood in front of the mirror in her room, dressed in an elegant, delicate white gown. She looked like a real bride, and for the first time, the idea of marrying Liam didn't seem so absurd. She took a deep breath and stepped out of the room, walking down the stairs to the garden where a small ceremony had been set up. There were flowers, candles, and a small audience of family members, and at the makeshift altar, Liam was waiting for her. Emma felt her heart race. She no longer knew what was real and what was a lie, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. Liam smiled at her as she approached, and Emma knew she was lost in a lie that wasn't just a lie anymore. As the ceremony began, the officiant looked at them with a warm smile. "Liam, would you like to say a few words to your bride?" Emma held her breath. Liam took her hand, and then he said something that left her speechless. "I never believed in love." Emma blinked. "Until he met you." The guests sighed. Emma's heart pounded because, for the first time, she believed him, and that was the biggest mistake of all. Emma felt her palms sweat as she stood beside Liam, facing the officiant leading the small ceremony. Her heart was beating fast, and she wasn't sure if it was because of the act they were putting on or because of the way Liam was looking at her. She needed to focus. This was a plan. Just a plan. The officiant's voice echoed in the background, but Emma could barely process the words. Everything felt distant, muffled, like she was trapped in a dream she couldn't wake up from. "Liam, would you like to say a few words to your bride?" Emma held her breath. Liam took her hand firmly, his gaze meeting hers in an intense, unwavering way. "I never believed in love," he began, and a chill ran down Emma's spine. "I always thought it was an overrated concept, something people used to justify their choices." Her heart pounded in her chest. "But then I met you," he continued, "and you showed me that some things just happen without warning, without planning." Emma tried to remind herself that this was all fake, but Liam spoke with such ease, such sincerity, that it felt real. "Today, standing next to you, I realize that love can be unexpected, confusing, and sometimes completely out of our control." Silence fell over the garden. Emma no longer knew how to separate truth from pretense. The officiant turned to her. "Emma, would you like to say a few words?" Emma blinked a few times, trying to clear her thoughts. Everyone was watching her. Liam's grandmother smiled approvingly. Rachel stood with her arms crossed, her expression a mix of suspicion and irritation. She took a deep breath and looked at Liam. The words slipped from her mind, but then she remembered. She remembered how Liam always irritated her with his sarcastic comments at the office, how he pushed her buttons, but also how, since this whole act began, he made her laugh like no one else. She remembered the way he held her the night before, the way he looked at her, the way his presence was starting to affect her in ways she never expected. She swallowed hard and said the first thing that came to mind, "You make me question everything." Liam raised his eyebrows, surprised. "I never thought a lie could feel so real," she continued, her heart tightening. "But somehow you made that happen." Liam squeezed her hand just a little tighter, and Emma felt her chest tighten. The officiant smiled. "So, Liam Carter, do you take Emma Harper as your lawful wife?" Liam didn't hesitate. "I do." A shiver ran through Emma's body. "And you, Emma Harper, do you take Liam Carter as your lawful husband?" Her heart felt like it was about to explode. "I do." Applause filled the garden, but Emma didn't hear any of it over the noise of her own thoughts. Liam cupped her face gently and kissed her. This time, the kiss was different. It wasn't an act. It wasn't a performance. It was something more. Emma didn't know what was happening, but she knew that, for the first time, she was truly scared. After the ceremony, dinner was served, and everyone seemed excited about the sudden wedding. Emma tried to act naturally, smiling, answering questions from Liam's family, but her mind was a complete mess. She couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. Liam was a problem because Liam was starting to feel real. As she walked inside the house to get some air, she felt someone approaching. "You think you fooled everyone, don't you?" Emma turned around and came face to face with Rachel, who was watching her with sharp eyes. She sighed, already out of patience. "Rachel, I'm really too tired to deal with this right now." "Oh, but you're going to deal with it." Rachel shot back, crossing her arms. "I know this is all a lie." Emma felt a cold chill in her stomach. "I don't know what you're talking about." Rachel let out a humorless laugh. "Liam never wanted to get married, and now, all of a sudden, he shows up here with you, saying he's in love? Please?" Emma kept her expression neutral. "Sometimes people change." Rachel stepped forward, narrowing her eyes. "I'm going to find out the truth." Emma gave a small, knowing smile. "Good luck with that." Then she turned and walked away without looking back, but inside, she knew things were starting to spiral out of control. Later that night, when she finally had a moment alone in her room, exhaustion washed over her body. But before she could relax, the door opened, and Liam walked in. "Emma," I hit. "Liam, I need to sleep." He closed the door behind him and looked at her intently. "We need to talk." She rubbed her face. "Tired." "About what?" Liam took a step closer. "About what's happening between us." Emma felt her heart race. "There's nothing happening." He let out a quiet laugh. "No? Then tell me that what you felt out there during the wedding was a lie." Emma opened her mouth, but no words came out. Liam took another step forward, close enough for her to catch his scent. "Tell me, Emma, was it a lie?" She held her breath because she knew that if she answered, she'd have to face the truth, and the truth was, she no longer knew what was real and what was just an act. Liam lifted his hand and gently brushed his fingers along her face. "If you tell me you felt nothing, I'll leave you alone." Emma's entire body shivered. She opened her mouth to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Liam gave a small, knowing smile. "That's what I thought." And then, without another word, he walked out of the room, leaving Emma completely confused and breathless. She sank onto the bed, covering her face with her hands. This couldn't be happening, but it was. And now there was no turning back. Emma woke up the next morning with a strange feeling that something inside her had changed. Maybe it was the way Liam had looked at her the night before, as if he knew something she wasn't ready to admit yet. Maybe it was the fact that, after the fake wedding, the line between what was real and what was an act had started to blur. She stared at the ceiling for a few seconds, trying to ignore the anxiety building in her chest. The last thing she wanted was to get up and face Liam after their conversation, but running away wasn't an option. After getting dressed, she went downstairs and found the house buzzing with activity. The Carter family was gathered in the living room, discussing the day's plans, and Liam was there, sitting comfortably on the couch, coffee in hand, as if nothing had happened. When he noticed her, he looked up and gave a slight smile. "Did you sleep well?" Emma held her breath. The question seemed so simple, but there was something in the way he said it that made her heart race. "Yes," she lied. Liam's grandmother clapped her hands, drawing everyone's attention. "As you all know, tonight is the annual Carter family ball. It's a tradition, and now that we have a newly married couple in the family, it will be an even more special evening." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. "A ball?" She glanced at Liam, who simply shrugged as if he'd been waiting for her reaction. "Oh, of course," Emma said, forcing a smile. "I can't wait." But inside, she was completely nervous, as if a fake wedding wasn't enough. Now she had to spend an entire evening pretending to be Liam's loving wife at a formal ball, surrounded by people who were already suspicious. Rachel, sitting in the corner, gave a subtle smile as if she was eager to see Emma fail. "Great," Emma sighed and turned to Liam. "You could have warned me about this." Liam smiled. "And miss your reaction? Not a chance." Emma crossed her arms. "You enjoy this way too much." He just chuckled and took another sip of his coffee. Later, Emma was in her room, trying on the dress they had picked for her. It was long, dark blue, elegant, and sophisticated, exactly the kind of dress someone would wear if they were truly married to a man like Liam. And that was what bothered her the most. Everything was starting to feel too real. When she went downstairs, she found Liam waiting for her at the entrance of the house. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, and when he saw her, His eyes lit up for a brief moment. "You look incredible," he said, with no hint of sarcasm. Emma suddenly felt self-conscious. "You don't look too bad yourself." Liam let out a quiet laugh and offered her his arm. "Shall we?" She hesitated for a second before accepting. The ballroom was illuminated by grand chandeliers, and the decor was breathtakingly luxurious. Emma had never been to an event like this before. As soon as they entered, all eyes turned to them. Emma kept her head high, but she could feel her heart racing. She could hear people whispering about the sudden wedding, about how no one had ever heard of her before, about how something seemed off about the whole story. But then Liam took her hand, and suddenly she felt a little more secure. The ball went on, and Emma realized that, despite herself, she was beginning to get lost in that world. Liam guided her effortlessly through the guests, introducing her as his wife, keeping his hand in hers the entire time. It was unsettling how natural it all felt. And then it was time for the dance. Liam's grandmother announced that the newlyweds should open the ball, and Emma felt her stomach drop. "Do you dance?" Liam asked, offering his hand. "I pretend to," she answered. He smiled. "Perfect. Pretend with me." Emma placed her hand in his and let Liam lead her to the center of the ballroom. The music started, and he wrapped an arm around her waist, guiding her with ease. At first, she was tense, but as the seconds passed, she felt her body begin to relax. She was never one to get lost in the moment, but here, with Liam, it felt impossible not to. Then he whispered something in her ear. "You look beautiful tonight." A shiver ran down Emma's spine. She looked at him, and Liam didn't look away. And there, in the middle of the ballroom, surrounded by dozens of people, Liam did the one thing that could turn everything upside down. He kissed her. It was different from the other kisses. This time, there was no audience to convince. No need to keep up the act. It was just him and her. Emma felt the ground disappear beneath her. The kiss was slow, deep. He held her face gently, as if he wanted her to feel every second of that moment. And the worst part, she didn't want him to stop. When he pulled away, Emma no longer knew who was pretending and who wasn't. The entire ballroom was watching, but all she could think about was what had just happened. Liam gave her a small smile. Was that convincing enough? Emma couldn't answer because she knew there was nothing fake about that kiss anymore, and that was the biggest problem of all. The night went on, but Emma couldn't focus on anything else. What had happened between her and Liam couldn't have just been part of the plan. She had felt it. He had felt it. But then Rachel appeared. "So," she said, crossing her arms, "I saw the little show you put on in there." Emma's whole body tensed. "What do you want, Rachel?" The blonde gave a sharp smile. "I just want to understand something. If you two are so in love, why did I have to find out by accident that Liam was married? Why has he never mentioned you before?" Emma tried to stay calm. "We're private." Rachel took a step closer. "Or maybe you just don't have a real story to tell." Emma knew Rachel was close to figuring everything out, and at that moment, she realized she had little time before everything fell apart. Emma's whole body tensed as she stared at Rachel. The blonde's eyes were sharp, analytical, as if waiting for the slightest mistake. "Why are you so interested in our relationship?" Emma countered. Trying to keep her voice steady, Rachel smiled, as if she already had the perfect answer ready. "Because none of this makes sense. Liam never wanted to get married. He never even mentioned dating anyone. And now, out of nowhere, he suddenly has the perfect wife? Don't you think that's suspicious?" Emma kept her expression neutral, but inside, she could feel the panic rising. "Don't you think people can change?" she shot back. Rachel crossed her arms. "They do, but not that fast." Emma opened her mouth to respond, but before she could say anything, she felt a warm hand on her waist. Liam appeared at her side, looking at Rachel with a calm smile. "Is there a problem?" Rachel narrowed her eyes. "We were just having a conversation." Liam looked at Emma and took her hand. "Well, I'd prefer if you brought any questions directly to me." Rachel let out a low laugh. "Oh, Liam, you know I've always understood you better than anyone else." Emma felt something hot rise in her chest. It wasn't anger, it was jealousy. Before Rachel could continue her little game, Liam turned to Emma. "Want to take a walk?" Emma knew it was an excuse to get away, and right now, that was exactly what she needed. She nodded, and Liam led her away from Rachel, guiding her out of the ballroom. The cool night air hit her face as they stepped onto the balcony. Emma let out a long breath and ran a hand through her hair. "She's going to figure everything out," she murmured. Liam leaned against the railing, watching her. "Only if we give them a reason to think so." Emma huffed, as if it weren't obvious already. Liam was watching her differently now. What's bothering you more, the fact that Rachel is suspicious, or the fact that you're starting to enjoy this? Emma felt her stomach drop. She lifted her eyes to his, ready to argue. But Liam took a step closer. You can pretend nothing has changed, Emma, but it has. She crossed her arms, trying to hold her ground. You're imagining things. Liam smirked. Then look me in the eyes and tell me that kiss today was just acting. Emma opened her mouth, closed it, tried to find the words, but she couldn't, because deep down, she knew the truth. Liam lifted a hand and gently brushed his fingers along her cheek. If you really think this is just an act, say it now, and I'll stop. Emma felt her heart pounding. This was her chance to end it all, to rebuild the walls between them, but she said nothing. And that was all Liam needed to know the answer. He cupped her face firmly and kissed her again. But this time, there was no audience, no one to fool. It was just him and her, and Emma was completely lost. She pulled him closer, feeling his warmth, knowing that, in that moment, nothing else mattered but that kiss. When they finally pulled apart, Liam's eyes held something she wasn't ready to understand. You're scared, he murmured. Emma looked away. This wasn't supposed to happen. Liam gently held the back of her neck. But it did. Emma closed her eyes. Liam. Before she could say anything else, a voice cut through the silence. Well, that explains a lot. They both turned quickly. Rachel stood at the entrance to the porch, arms crossed, a satisfied smile on her lips. Emma's stomach twisted. Rachel. The blonde tilted her head. So, is this how deeply in love couples act? So tense, so full of secrets? Emma struggled to find something to say, but her mind was chaos. Rachel chuckled, crossing her arms. Don't worry, I don't need proof to know this is all a lie. Emma's eyes widened. Rachel smirked. But you know what's even more interesting? She took a step forward, looking directly at Liam. You don't seem to be lying anymore. Liam didn't respond, and that was all Rachel needed to laugh and walk away. I don't need to expose anything because, in the end, the truth is already coming out. And then she was gone. Emma felt her whole body tremble because, for the first time, she realized the lie no longer made sense, and the worst part, she had no idea how to get out of it. That didn't make sense. This was everything she feared and wanted at the same time. Liam, you're misunderstanding things. He smiled gently. Then look me in the eyes and tell me you don't feel the same. Emma opened her mouth. She tried to speak, but nothing came out because deep down, she knew the truth. She was in love too, but admitting it would be a point of no return. I need to think, was all she could say before walking away, her heart pounding out of control. In the days that followed, Emma avoided Liam. They returned to the city, and she threw herself into work, pretending nothing had happened, but inside, everything was in ruins. She missed him. She missed the teasing, the stolen glances, the conversations. She missed the way he made her feel alive. And then the day came when Liam didn't show up at work. Emma pretended not to care. But as the hours passed, his absence became unbearable. And when she received a note from the secretary saying that Liam had resigned, her world fell apart. Without a second thought, she grabbed her bag and ran out of the office. She had to find him, and more than that, she had to stop running away. She drove to his apartment, but the doorman told her Liam had packed his bags and left that morning. Desperation set in. She tried calling him, but he didn't answer. And that's when she realized she might lose him forever, and that was unacceptable. So Emma did the only thing she could do. She went after him. Following the clues, she discovered Liam was at the airport, ready to board a flight to Europe. By the time she arrived, he was already at the departure gate. And there, in front of dozens of people, Emma did something she never imagined she would. She called out his name. Liam stopped, just steps from the gate, and slowly turned around. His eyes widened when he saw her. Emma took a deep breath and, for the first time, said what she truly felt. I'm a coward, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. A few people at the airport turned to look, but Emma didn't care. I ran because I never knew how to handle this. I never knew how to handle love, but now I do. Liam didn't move. Emma felt tears well up in her eyes. I love you. Liam finally smiled, and without hesitation, he dropped his suitcase and ran to her. Emma met him halfway, and when they finally reached each other, Liam pulled her into his arms and kissed her. This time, there was no doubt it wasn't a lie. It wasn't a game. It was real. When they pulled apart, Liam cupped her face and whispered, I was waiting for you to admit that. Emma laughed, her heart still racing. And now? Liam smiled. Now we do this the right way. Emma could still feel Liam's arms around her as she tried to process everything that had just happened. Did she really run to the airport to stop him from leaving? Did she really confess her love in front of a crowd of strangers? Yes, yes, she did. And now she was there, in his arms, feeling the warmth of his body, the familiar scent of his skin, the taste of the kisses she once thought were just part of a plan, but they never were. Liam gently held her face, his thumb brushing against her cheek. Emma Harper, you just gave me the biggest surprise of my life. She laughed, tears filling her eyes. You taught me how to be reckless. Liam smiled. In that case, I think it's only fair to do one more crazy thing. Emma blinked, confused. What do you mean? He stepped back just enough to pull something from his pocket, a small ring. Emma's heart stopped. Liam. He knelt down, right there in the middle of the airport, with all the curious eyes watching them. I already married you once, he began, a playful smile on his lips. But it was the wrong way. Emma held her breath. Now I want to do it the right way. Her heart raced. Liam looked straight into her eyes. Emma Harper, will you marry me for love? For real? No deals, no contracts, no tricks. Emma felt the world freeze, and then, without hesitating for even one more second, she smiled. Yes, the people around them started clapping and cheering, but Emma only saw Liam. He slid the ring onto her finger, and before she could say anything else, he pulled her into a deep, passionate kiss. This time, there was no pretending this time. It was real. 2 weeks later, Emma looked at herself in the mirror of the grand hall where she was getting ready, dressed as a bride. The gown was elegant, a soft white with delicate lace on the sleeves, and a long veil cascading in gentle waves. The reflection in the mirror showed a woman she barely recognized because, for the first time, she was truly getting married. The door opened, and Liam's grandmother walked in, a proud smile on her lips. I knew there was something between you two. Emma smiled. You always knew more than you let on, didn't you? The older woman winked. Sweetheart, I may be old, but I'm not blind. Emma laughed and held her hand for a moment, feeling the warmth and acceptance in those wise eyes. Thank you for everything. The woman simply nodded. Now go, your groom is waiting. Emma's heart raced. She stepped out of the room and saw her path lined with white flowers and soft lights. The altar was set up in the same garden where, weeks before, they had staged a wedding, but now it was real, and at the end of the aisle, Liam was waiting for her. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, his eyes shining with emotion as he watched her approach. Emma couldn't look away. When she finally reached him, Liam took her hands and whispered, You look beautiful. She smiled. You don't look too bad yourself. The officiant began the ceremony, but Emma barely heard the words. Her heart was pounding so hard that everything felt like a blur. Then Liam held her hands firmly and began to say his vows. Emma, you came into my life like a storm. Before I knew it, I was caught right in the middle of it. Emma smiled, fighting back tears. You taught me that love doesn't have to be planned, calculated, or perfect. It just happens. And I will never want anyone but you. Emma felt her heart swell. Then, when it was her turn, she took a deep breath and said, Liam, I spent so much time running from love that I never realized it was right in front of me. You made me believe that I could be more than just a woman focused on work. You showed me that I can have it all, and I want all of it with you. Liam smiled, his eyes gleaming. The officiant asked the final question. Liam Carter, do you take Emma Harper as your lawful wife? I do, Liam answered without hesitation. And you, Emma Harper, do you take Liam Carter as your lawful husband? Emma smiled. I do. Then, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Before the officiant could say another word, Liam pulled Emma into a kiss. Applause and cheers erupted around them. But for Emma, there was only him. And in that moment, she knew she had never been happier. Love had arrived unexpectedly, but in the end, it was exactly what she had always needed.